John Krasinski is one of my favorite comedy actors. No joke, I have days where I embody the likeness of Jim Halpert. I have no Pam Beesly in my life, but I also don't work in an office building. I did once, and I learned that environment is not for me. I need a quiet place, and while movies are loud, if you are lucky, the audience is not. Silence is respect. A Quiet Place. If this ever gets a special re-release in IMAX, I'm there. The story follows the Abbott family. Lee, Evelyn, and their kids. They speak by signing. They live in a future where monsters have killed off most of the population. The monsters cannot see, but they can hear, and they attack sound. Silence is survival. I watch maybe one horror film a year. Blood, guts, and gore is not what I call a fun time. Although I have watched these. The first three for sheer curiosity. These two for the sake of not being culturally bankrupt. You know, be part of the weekend after discussion. A discussion I now have with my coworkers and boss. The most boss thing about A Quiet Place is the sound. Our director was curious if minimal sound would be as effective as a movie with lots of sound. These guys helped prove him right. Their work is inventive and inspiring, especially when the monsters are hunting, one of the more challenging obstacles, no doubt. Jaws inspired how the monster is revealed. A choice as important as the design. In making your monster look distinct, you must consider these two design questions. Yes, our monster checks both boxes. Before I bought my ticket, I knew the monster was all about sound. So, as soon as the first scene, guess who was nervous? During that scene, survival over desire is established. You want something really bad, but you know it's loud and you have to keep quiet. I knew that if I stayed quiet, I'd feel part of the Abbott family, and it was a pretty meta experience. When they were afraid of making noise, so was I. When they were relaxed, I was relaxed. I felt a part of their life. Never in my life has my survival depended on silence. But in a movie theater, you have to stay quiet to avoid being that person. Good thing I've had practice. In 2009, our director began practicing his craft. Next came 3 episodes of The Office and The Hollers. He reminds me of another hero of mine. He produces, directs, acts, and writes. That's a major juggling act. But when you love what you do, you can make it appear effortless. And John Krasinski made A Quiet Place feel effortless. Maybe it's beginner's luck. They are both new to this genre. Well, you could have fooled me. They're both naturals. Their kids are too. Millicent Simmons is now 2 films into her career. Noah Jupe is just a few more in. Imagine, Matt Damon is one of his past co-stars. I saw in that movie what I saw in this movie. Focus. Children bring a raw quality. They don't have experience, but they will try anything. They aren't afraid of being wrong. They also have a terrible fear of monsters. They convince themselves there's a monster in their closet or under the bed. So I imagine for these 2 child actors, this movie was a therapeutic outlet. Good for them. But personally, I've never found horror therapeutic. My kind of therapy is a little bit different. Horror has survivors, but not always heroes. Hostel is a prime example. They are trapped. They are waiting for a sick person to come and hurt them or kill them, for money or pleasure or ego or just because. Nobody talks about that world, but it's real. The terror comes from that reality and watching to find out if the person makes it out. And if they do, how are they different? Because if they do make it out alive, they're not the same person. We observe them in their new current life. A life I found interesting, scary, limiting, sweet, and tiring. A lot like life is today. And ironically, that's basically when the story takes place. Just 3 years from now. Possibly a metaphor for the future we are living. Be quiet and you'll live. Make a noise and you will be punished. Fight only when you know how to win. The Abbott family is winning by making the best out of a bad situation. The design for their living situation is haunting and melancholy. Jeffrey Beecroft is no stranger to stories of melancholy. This tale is more intimate, but even with a small budget, his execution is thoughtful and emotional. All of it was photographed by Charlotte Christensen, no stranger to capturing fear. Inspired by yours truly, she crafted confident, interesting images on 35mm film. Favorite scene? We have a tie. The opening does everything it should. It tells you exactly what kind of film you're in for, and invites you into the Abbott family. I rank it among my favorite opening scenes. Then there's this father and son moment by a waterfall. It's a bonding scene, and they're only one, really. And it's the most relaxing and wonderful moment in the whole movie. 2 notes for possible improvement. On this basement staircase, there is a nail sticking up, just waiting to be stepped on. It is the most obvious thing, and it bugged me. In a movie this smart, it stands out as the one and only bad story idea. By itself, it's a very good score. Literal would have been more appropriate. If the characters cannot hear it, we shouldn't either. Nonetheless, my Blu-ray collection is waiting for it. It's proven an inspirational distraction in between superhero movies. Not every distraction inspires me, but in this case, we have a winner. Thank you for your support. I hope I see you again.